Hey everyone, it's Andrew here. So I wanted to put together this video just to share with you some tips and techniques that I've used that have helped me get my splits flat. Um, I've been stretching for probably about 16 years now, and I've found that the most important thing with stretching, other than of course working hard, is the way that you stretch, and particularly the stretches that you use and the technique that you use when you stretch. I've seen people that work really hard for their splits and really hard for their stretching, and they just don't get anywhere. They're just the same level all the time. So I guess a reason for that is one important thing with stretching is actually rest. So it's very important, especially with splits, that you don't stretch every single day, at least not deep stretches every single day, because what that does is it doesn't give your body an opportunity to rest and recover. So stretching is just like if you're working out, you actually need time to let your muscles recover and relax, because stretching is actually doing small little tears to your body, and then it needs to repair that damage by having rest days. So definitely for this splits challenge, I definitely recommend do take the 2 days off a week if you can, and do some light days and some heavy days, but certainly don't do heavy every single day. So yeah, I guess particularly with splits, what's really important is that you don't just go into the stretch and just hold it. So you certainly need to warm up first and warm up all the different parts of your body that are required for splits before you go and do splits. If you just went into full split without warming up, then it's a lot of strain on your body and your body is not ready for it. And all it does is it just tenses up and you don't get anywhere. So I'm going to take you through some warm-up stretches that I use, and then also some techniques that are going to help. So the other thing you don't want to do in splits is you also don't want to just hold and hold and hold and hold for ages. I've got a couple of little techniques that I'll show you that are going to really help. Breathing is really important. It's important that when you are in your stretches that you are taking a moment to sort of relax and take a deep breath in, breathe out, and then on the breath out, that's when you actually sink deeper into the stretch. So if you forget to breathe, you're actually just going to stay at the same point. Whereas I've really found breathing makes a huge difference. So I breathe in, breathe out, and go down. Breathe in, breathe out, and go down. So that was one of the main things that actually helped me to improve my flexibility when I learnt to actually use my breath, and that actually helps to relax your muscles as well. PNF stretching is another good technique that I use. What that means is it's a stretching technique where you push your muscle into, say, push your foot into the floor. So you're resisting into the floor. You push 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, relax, and then you can slide further into the stretch. So what that actually does is it sort of tricks the body, because the body naturally tenses up when you go into a stretch to actually protect itself. So what the contracting into the floor or resisting does is it actually tenses up the muscle, and then it actually, when you let go, it has to release, because the opposite of tense is release, and it just naturally bypasses that mechanism your body has to automatically tense and resist the stretch, because it's done the work and now it goes, okay, I have to relax. So yeah, so I'll go through some stretches. What you're going to need for this, some yoga blocks. If you don't have yoga blocks, you can use just the edge of your couch or a chair, just holding a chair in front of you. Also, I highly recommend for splits, cushions. I'll show you why in a sec, but it's basically to help you relax in the stretch. Super important, as I said before, to relax. There's just nothing more I can say on that. It's just going to be the most helpful thing that you learn when you learn to relax properly. All right, so I'm just going to quickly go through a bit of a warm-up. You should do some aerobic warm-up first, so I recommend 5 to 10 minutes jogging, star jumps, just whatever you can do aerobically to get you nice and warm. Assuming that you've already done that, I'm not going to do that in this video. I just want to show you some dynamic stretches that you can use to get a little bit warmer. So just watching. Okay, so you should be nice and warm now. So there's another couple of stretches that I find are really good to warm up the hamstrings. So what you're going to do is come into a lunge position like this. Toes are tucked under at the back. Now my armpit is going to be super glued to my thigh, like so. It's not allowed to leave my thigh. You don't want a gap at all in here. So the armpit stays on the thigh. I'm going to try to straighten both legs, and it's a dynamic stretch, so I go all the way up and all the way down. You can do this 10 times, 20 times, however many you feel, until your muscles start getting a lot warmer. Make sure you bring your back foot in nice and close. You don't want to be sort of really out here. So nice and close with your back knee. And you're going to straighten both legs, as I said, keeping the armpit on the leg. And let's go. And hold the last one. And down. And then swap legs. Now if you can't actually get the leg completely straight, what you can do is just try to straighten it as much as you can. So for instance, I might be tight in this leg and I might only be able to straighten to here, keeping the armpit on the leg. I don't want you to cheat and bring your armpit off. If you can only get to there, keeping the armpit on, that's probably where you need to just be. So you would only just do to there instead of all the way straight. So let's do 10 on this side, or however many you want to do. Now let's go. And then hold up the last one. And down. Good. We're going to do calf stretch now. So I'm just going to use the couch here. So when I really think about my foot is going to be flexed like this, and I'm going to try to push into the wall. There's the couch there. I'm going to try to push into the couch and get my heel as close into the couch as possible. Right? And then I'm going to, you see what I'm going to do, I'm going to lift up my body and then try to pull forwards. So I get nice and close like this, and then you can stand up and then push your hips forward, So I get that nice stretch down the back of my legs there. You can also use a wall. So the closer your heel is, the better stretch you're going to get. And then swap sides. So heel right in close as you can get. And then straighten that back leg. Keep your hips square. Push your hips forwards. Should be a nice calf stretch. And then relax. Good. Shake your legs. Alright, so this is a little stretching warm-up sequence that I use when I'm teaching classes. That actually really helps just to sort of loosen everything up a little bit. So you can just follow along. I'll show you. So we just go side. Now you want to turn your toes to the diagonal, and I'm going to reach to the wall with a flat back. Touch the floor. Then from here you're going to bend that back knee, so I bend it, and as I do that, I want to reach for this ankle, and then I'm going to bring my chest towards to touch the leg. And then straighten both toes to the front. I'm going to hold my elbows, just both hands both holding my elbows. I'm just going to hang down. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rock my elbows from side to side, just in a very relaxed, hanging kind of manner. So I'm not really pushing into it, I'm just swinging, okay? And then I'm holding one ankle, holding the ankle, pulling the chest into the leg, and then swap sides, chest to leg, holding the ankle, and swap, and swap, and swap. Good. And bend, and rolling up. We'll do the same on the other side. So, side bend. Flat back, toes face the diagonal. Touch the floor. Bend that back leg, and then chest to leg. Straighten, walking back to the middle, holding your elbows, hanging, and then doing the rocking side to side. And once again, holding one ankle, and swap. Other side, and swap. Good. From here you can just do a sumo pose. So I'm trying to press out my knees with my elbows. I'm also trying to sit my butt down towards the floor. So I sit down as low as possible, and I'm also pressing out the knees. This is good for your side splits, of course. You can do a bit of a rocking side to side, just really loosen up that hip. And you can do this one, of course, twisting, and the other side. And then you're going to roll it up, roll up, 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 and good. All right. So, onto some stretches for splits. So, I guess the main one, of course, you've got lunges. So you want to really think about trying to, in your lunge, keeping your hips tucked under. So I want to think about my bottom or my lower back pushing forwards in the stretch. I don't want my bottom going backwards because that actually takes away from the stretch. So I want to lengthen from through here, across the top of my hip and through my quad, all the way up. So I want to think about lengthening up. So you can put your hands on your hips if you find that easier. Good. Now this is a little technique that I found actually really gets into the hip quite deeply. You're going to tuck your back toe under like this. I'm going to try to straighten the whole leg. Make sure the knee is going completely straight but stay nice and low. From here, I'm going to rock forward and back. Try to keep that back leg straight. That's it. And then down. Think about lunging that a little bit deeper, keeping your hips tucked forward. Feel that length through here. From here, there's another technique. We're going to actually keep the toes flat this time, and we're going to try to straighten that back leg. So you can imagine this is like basically what your back leg is doing in a split. So you're going to hold for 5 seconds, and then relax down, lunge a little bit deeper, and again, lunge, so straighten that back leg, and down. All the time making sure you're keeping your hips square, don't let your hips twist at all. So keeping your hips facing like headlights directly to the front. This will actually really help ensure that your hips are square. If you do this stretch, it's pretty well impossible to do it twisted. So if you have your knee and toes directly tucked under, it'll stretch in the right way. So this is working a really good square split. Alright, from here, just because I like to do this, you're going to turn out your front foot just to 45 degrees, not all the way up. And I'm going to press my knee out in the same direction where my foot is going. So I don't want to have my knee facing in a different way to where my foot is going. The knee needs to always face directly over the foot. I'm just gently opening out, pressing out my knee up over my toe. And then I'm going to reach my elbows to the floor. You've probably seen this one before. You can't quite do that, then just on the arms is fine. But do try to actually work towards getting your elbows down. Good. Coming up, you're going to reach for your back foot. Now if you can't quite do that, you can actually use a yoga block to actually help you up, hold you up in this stretch. And I'm going to reach for my back foot. Pull it in, so just till it feels like a little bit of resistance, and then I'm going to use that P and F contract that I was talking about. So I'm going to press my back foot into my hand for 5 seconds. So push, 2, 3, 4, 5, relax, and then on the relax, that's when you can actually stretch it more. So press into your hand, 2, 3, 4, 5, and relax, pull it into your butt. And one more time, push, 2, 3, 4, 5, and pull it into your butt. Nice deep quad stretch, and relax. Alright, let's do the same on the other side. So remember, we're tucking hips forward, don't let the butt stick backwards. Hips forward. Alright, think about someone pressing your lower back forwards. You can also use blocks to actually, if this is quite difficult to reach for the floor, you can use blocks, or you can actually hold the edge of a couch or a chair in front of you if you're finding this difficult to actually place your hands on the floor. I guess the most important thing is you really want to keep your body upright. If you're sacrificing your form to get your hands on the floor, then don't do that. You actually want to have your hands on your front knee if you can balance it there at all. So you're going to tuck your toes under, and you're going to straighten that back leg all the way straight, rocking forward and back. It should be a really nice deep hip stretch. and then back down. Toes flat, lunging deep or pressing forward with the lower back. Really press it forwards. This is where you can use your blocks. Make sure you're nice and upright. Now this time I'm going to straighten the back foot with, the back leg with the toes flat. So I'm going to press 2, 3, 4, 5, down. Lunge that a little bit deeper. I feel it lengthening through the hip there. And straighten again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back down. Lengthen forwards. And then one more time. Straighten. 2, 3, 4, 5, and down. So I can turn out my front foot here, just to like a 45-degree angle. The knee goes out over where the toe is going, not past it or not before it. And I like to press just enough so that I feel that stretching outside of the hip in there. You might not feel it, depending on where you're tight. But yeah, so the more you open it out, you'll just feel a gentle stretch in there if you're tight in that area. Coming down to your elbows, either on your hands or elbows. Coming up, reaching for your back foot, or if you want, you can use block. I'll put my hand on the floor this time. So reach for my back foot, put in towards my butt, just till I get a gentle stretch. And press my foot into my hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pull it in. It goes much further once you're relaxed. Press it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pull it in. Resist. 2, 3, 4, 5. And pull it in. And relax down. Alright, so I'm going to show you some hamstring stretches now. So swap legs again. So this is similar to what we were doing in the warm-up. I'm going to have, from a lunge, my chest on my leg, and it's not allowed to leave my leg, so it's super glued to my leg. I don't want this gap. Now the reason this works well is because the body has a natural reaction to actually being in contact with another part of the body. It actually helps it sort of comfort it, if you like, or relax a lot better than if you've got this gap and you're stretching, it's like, it really hurts. But when you're actually up against your leg, and so what we're going to do is we're going to do it straightening. So we start bent, armpit stays in the leg, and we straighten as much as you can, but don't let the armpit leave the leg. It's actually quite reassuring to the body because it's like, I can feel that I've got that contact. So what that means is it just sort of psychologically helps your body to relax better. Because you're feeling in contact with something like, okay, I'm good, like I feel safe. Once again, if you can't quite straighten all the way, if you're here, that's fine. And then bend. And we're just going to do one more of those. So you start bend and then straighten. So just try to get a little bit further if you can. Bend. Now this time I'm going to flex my toes as I straighten. It's going to be a bit more of a calf stretch. So flex, and once again you might only be able to get here, that's okay. But otherwise try to straighten all the way up. Making sure your hips are square, not twisted here. And bend, and then straightening one more with flexed toes. And if you want an extra stretch, you can pull your toes back with the opposite hand, and then relax. So that's actually a really important stretch. I find that when I'm teaching people splits, I can tell if they're ready for splits by whether they can get this stretch. So if you can actually do that stretch with your leg completely straight, then you're ready to do splits. If not, I would actually work a lot more on this stretch. You can still do the splits because you need to do the splits for your splits challenge, but this is a really important warm-up stretch. Trying to get that leg straight, armpit on the leg, because it actually warms up your body enough to be able to do the splits. So let's do the other side. Armpit on the leg, and we're going to straighten as much as you can. And bend. And one more time. Straighten. And bend. Now we're going to flex. Flex the toes. Hold. Bend. One more time. Flex and hold. Now, if you can, grab the toes, pull back the opposite foot. It's quite a big stretch, even for me. And then relax. So you can do that a couple of times each side if you want more of a stretch, or if you feel like it's not quite straight yet. So until you can get it straight, then sort of keep working on that one. Alright, so we're going to talk a bit more about getting deep into the hip flexor, so which is quite a hard thing to do. And something that's actually quite important when you do splits is to stretch that back hip, because if you're not actually stretching into your hip, all the stretch is going to go into your hamstring, and that puts a lot of strain on the hamstrings. Hamstrings are, muscles that tighten up pretty easily as well if you put too much strain on them. So the more strain you can take off the hamstrings, the better, the longer you're going to last, and the better your splits are going to look anyway. So particularly with square splits. So twisted split, it's not actually using your hip flexor so much, it's actually using like a adductor muscle stretch. But when you turn it in, that's actually all going through your quad and through your hip flexor. So I'm going to come down onto my heel like this, right? And I'm going to try to straighten that back knee. So lifting just off the floor a little bit. And you'll see when I do the splits, that this is what I'm going to do to actually slide back into the split. So I'm going to go from here, I'm going to push my hip into the floor. Now I know this is bad form, but this is just for a stretching sake. So I'm going to push my hip into the floor, and as I do that, to get more of a stretch, I'm going to straighten that back leg again, just like what I showed you, so that the kneecap just lifts a tiny, tiny bit off the floor. And it should be a really nice, deep hip stretcher, hip flexor stretch. Good, and then you can do the other side. So straightening that back leg, and then dropping the hip out to the side. Basically want until it touches. And then that back leg, you're going to just straighten that back knee. So it's just coming off the floor, the kneecap. And then push into the hip a little bit more. And relax. Good. Alright, this is where you're going to use your cushions. Now this is the most awesome trick for splits, because the problem what happens in splits, as I was saying before, is your body, particularly in hamstring stretches, the muscles just want to tense up, okay? That's just what they do to protect themselves, because they don't want to be injured. So they lock up and protect, just go, no, I'm not going to let you hurt me. But cushions, awesome, because it actually helps you, once again, it's the body being in contact with something, and psychologically you can actually relax, because you think, oh, I'm just sitting on a cushion or sitting on a couch or whatever, and I could stay here all day, kind of thing. So rather than being, oh my god, I'm not quite flat yet and it's really hurting, that's really counterintuitive. It's actually not going to help you split if you're sort of just in midair. You want to actually feel in contact with something so you can relax. So I'll do the other side to start with, so you can see. So once again, you want a nice deep split, lunge, and you're going to straighten. I'll actually get the blocks, because you want to keep your body upright, and you stretch, or you can use a chair in front of you, as I said. So I get nice and low, trying to actually keep my foot on the floor, so it stays on the floor for as long as I can go, and so my front leg's still bent, and I just keep walking it forwards. That's a really deep hip stretcher, hip flexor stretch. Right. Okay, from here, just as the front leg starts to straighten, I'm actually going to try to straighten the back leg so that the kneecap comes off the floor again. So I'm going to straighten, and then let go, and then lower down a little bit. And I'm going to keep doing that. So as I straighten, I lift up a little bit. I lift up, and then I come down. And just sort of sink into the cushions a little bit and just relax here. And you're going to straighten the back leg, hold, lift up, and then lower down. Now that lifting up, lower down is actually breaking the natural stretch reflex to tense up. Because just as it starts to go, nut, 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 I'm actually going, okay, well, we're actually getting out of the stretch, so that sort of puts your body into a relaxed state, and then slowly sliding back down just to where you were and even deeper. And then it basically pulls the body into stretching when it didn't expect to be. So straighten the back leg and then lower down each time. Now if you're feeling that's pretty comfortable, you can take a cushion out. So the whole principle of this, the way that I stretch now when I do my splits, is you feel like there's a lot of weight going through your back kneecap. Don't actually let any weight go through your back kneecap. So you want to straighten your back leg, try to put all the weight in your back foot so that's taking the weight off the kneecap, and that really straightens the back leg. Yeah, and you can do the lift up and down. So almost have no weight in the back kneecap, and that is really making a difference. Like that stretches my hip, something big time. And if you can, just sort of relax here. If it's too much, lift up, hold, and relax back down. And do that a couple of times until the body just goes, oh, okay, cool, that's better, you know. If you definitely want to come out, you can come out and then have another go. It's better to do more repetitions than try to really strain where your body's not ready to go yet. So I usually, with my students, I'll do at least 2 rounds of each leg. The first round, you know, we might start with 2 cushions, and then the second round we'll do 1 cushion or no cushions. So each time you do it again, it'll get easier. Okay, so same on the other side. Once again, lunging, and I'm going to walk that front foot out, keeping it bent the whole time, nice and low, until it's almost straight. Then I'm going to straighten the back leg so the kneecap comes off the floor. Lift up and down. I can slowly straighten that front leg. And straighten again. Push. 2, 3, 4, 5. Lower down. And one more push. 2, 3, 4, 5. Once again, think about just a tiny little bit of the kneecap being just a tiny bit off the floor, so the weight's all in the back foot, and the back foot's pressing into the floor to lift the kneecap off. You can do the little lift up and down. So I'll take a cushion out. That's quite easy. Obviously, if you need more cushions, by all means, you don't have to just use 2. You can use 3 or 4, however many you need, until you feel like, yeah, that's cool, like I'm quite comfortable. If you suddenly take one out and you're like, oh my god, that's too hard, you can just put it back, put the other one back. So, once again, straightening that back leg and slide your back leg out. So as I lower down, I don't just go down. I want to extend both legs, particularly my back leg. I want to extend it back as I lower down. So I go up, extend it back, lift up, extend it back. And it just makes heaps and heaps of difference. And if you want to, if you're feeling that's quite easy, you can take the cushion out, So once again, lift up, no weight in the back kneecap, extend the back leg, lower down. Lift up, extend the back leg, lower down. And that's your splits. Yeah, cool. Any questions, comment below, and I'll very shortly post a video for middle splits, which I can also get flat in, and I'll show you some really good tips for that. Cool? Awesome. See you soon. Bye.